Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the first episode of Legal 101 and I am so excited to be here. My name is Anne with an E, not the show and not the book. So welcome. Hey, so today we shall be looking at contracts. What is a contract basically? And one of the illustrations that I will give is, for instance, you're going to the supermarket to buy bread. You will just enter the supermarket and go to the aisle where they place the bread, and then you take a packet of bread and then you go to the counter, make the payment, and that is actually a contract you have entered into and it has been completed. Other illustrations could be, for instance, you've gone to a petrol station with you're driving and you normally fuel your car with petrol, but these people instead decide to give you diesel. That is a contract that you have entered into, and we shall be looking at the legal implications that arise from those illustrations. And another one will be you boarding a matatu. You've gone to you've woken up early in the morning and you have decided you're going to a certain place, a certain destination, for instance the CBD, and you decide to take a matatu, but that particular day the matatu decides to go to a different city altogether. So what do you do in such an illustration? So that is basically the essence of a contract, and we normally enter into contracts on a day-to-day activity. And what is a contract? A contract is an agreement. It's as simple as that. So we shall be looking at the intricate details that arise from any agreement that we enter into. There are 7 key elements of a contract, and the first one is an offer. So for instance, in the illustration I've just given you of a matatu, the moment the tout says beba, 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 that is an offer. So it is up to you to accept it. And therefore, that is the second element of a contract, acceptance. So you've been given an option of entering into that contract. The moment you say, fine, I will board this matatu, you have accepted to enter into that contract. However, one key element is the meeting of minds. So you have a common goal. You cannot enter into a matatu and say you're going to South Sea while the matatu is going to town. That is not a meeting of minds. So you have to have a common destination, and basically that is the meeting of minds. And the other one is consideration. Consideration in this case is it's money. It's to do with money. It's value for what you're being given. And every contract has to have consideration, and there's a whole topic on what consideration is and how to deal with it, and the governing principles of what a contract is. And some of it, for instance, is I have entered into a contract with ABCD, but then again ZY comes to me and say, there's some money you owe ABCD, I need you to give me that money. That is impossible. It is not legal. It is not the right way. If I owe ABCD, let ABCD come and ask for the money, as opposed to ZY to come to me. So that is part of the whole concept of consideration. That is one element of consideration. In fact, in this aspect is the fourth one. And then we have the fifth one is capacity. Capacity basically means your status in terms of mental status. So for instance, you have decided that you will enter into a contract with someone who is quote unquote not lucid. They are not okay up there. By okay, I mean they have a medical report that they are not okay. So in such an instance, then you will not have entered into a contract, because this person is not okay mentally, is not it does not have the legal capacity. The other person is, you've entered into a contract with a person who is say 7 years old. that will be an invalid contract by virtue of the fact that you have entered into a contract with a minor. So unless that person has attained the age of 18 or has a guardian, then you can enter into that contract. However, it will be just a void contract, okay? You cannot enter into such an agreement. Then we have the essence of legality. How legal is that contract? You cannot decide that you will buy cocaine and you put it in an agreement, and you go to when consideration has not been exchanged, then you say, now I am going to go to court and claim for the money that I'm owed, because first of all, it is an illegal contract. Why? Because cocaine is illegal in the country. So the legality aspect has to be there, and that is basically the 7 principles that govern contracts. So there's someone who said that entering into a marriage is a contract. And one of the reasons why we cannot say a marriage is a contract is because of the element of consideration. There is no consideration. So in essence, that is an agreement, yes. However, it is not a contract. As we defined a contract earlier, is that a contract is simply an agreement. However, for it to be actually enforceable in a court of law, it has to fit all the 7 criteria that I have pointed out to you. So that is the offer, the acceptance, the mutual understanding or the mutual meeting of minds, and there has to be consideration, there has to be capacity, and there has to be legality, the element of it being a legal concept. So basically, contracts, as I've said, we enter into contracts every single day. But how then again do you deal with these contracts? How then do you ensure that each party has complied to what they were supposed to do? Okay, so that is also another issue that we will look into, and that is normally governed by cases, day-to-day cases that have been in court, and also laws of the land. The laws of Kenya, as we said, they are called statutes, okay? So statutes govern, they govern us. They govern the extent to which we can go to court and the extent to which we can enforce a contract. So in that case, I'll be specific actually. I was supposed to reach to town, but they decided to drop me at Garden Estate, and it was quite late. So what was my cause of action in this case is that they had promised to deliver, but they failed to. But the good thing is that eventually they got me another matatu, and they paid for that matatu. So in that case, we had sorted it out. So I did not need to go to court. And in any case, does that really amount to me going to court? And most of the times, those cases are frowned upon because of the smallness of the nature of the cause of action. It is like a small thing, but it is, you've been afflicted by someone. So how then do you address? We have the laws that govern us, and those are what we call statutes. So we will look at some of the statutes that govern us in just a bit, okay? So yeah, I hope we are clear on the elements of a contract. So now, some of the laws that govern us. We have the Law of Contract Act. It's a very small, I think it's one of the smallest statutes that we have, okay? And in this statute, the law of contract requires that some contracts are to be in writing and some are not to be, some can be actually not be in writing. And in that instance, we look at this matatu business, and we look at even you going to a petrol station, and even you going to the supermarket. All these do not require them, you are not required to have them in writing, because you can imagine every day you're signing a paper, it beats logic, right? So that is why you need to know which contract needs to be in writing and which one is not necessarily needed in writing. And when you're told that a contract is required to be in written form, then it has big implications. For instance, you're buying a piece of land, and you do not have a written contract. My friend, you will suffer. You will suffer because there are so many steps that you're supposed to follow. So make sure that you consult your advocate and you ask them, does this one need to be in writing, or is this okay if I proceed orally? There are contracts. For instance, you're buying a motor vehicle from someone else, okay? Now, this other person decides to just give you the motor vehicle, and later on you realize that motor vehicle was stolen. That is why you need a written agreement, because that way you become it's like you're sanctified by the law that in fact this person is a true and honest buyer. So then there's a way that the law will deal with you without having you arrested because you have bought stolen property. That is why you need some contracts to be in writing. So that is the difference of contracts. You cannot say first of all that a marriage is a contract. It's not a contract. It is an agreement. So you have also to differentiate what kind of contract it is. The contract has the various elements I have highlighted. And then there's the element that some contracts can be in writing and some need not be in writing. The other law that governs, and this I think one of my colleagues, his name is Denning, he dealt with it in his show. You can look at it, you can check it out. It's the Grundnorm, and he describes the Constitution in detail, and that is one of the laws that govern us when it comes to entering into contracts. And how to deal with them basically. So you have to also review that as well, okay? And then there are other things. We call them case law, or some of us call them precedents. These are already set cases that have been determined and decided by judges previously, okay? So we also look at those stories because every day we have different situations of contracts. So the cases guide us. They give general principles on how to deal with contracts. And also we have international laws. So these international laws deal with mostly cross-borders contracts. That is basically to say that you have entered into a contract with someone who is not resident in Kenya. He's resident probably in Rwanda or in the States, a different state from Kenya. Then how then do you deal with the jurisdiction in case of a dispute arising? Then the international laws are applicable because they cut across many countries. But you also have to be cautious as to which law that you're using, okay? And that is why, as I will end this show, it's as much as a contract is important, you also need an advocate. I think I will emphasize that over and over and over. An advocate will best guide you on how to go about contracts. So even those day-to-day activities, you need to consult your advocate. As I told you, you need 4 contacts: a banker, a doctor, a lawyer, and a financial advisor. I think that's a banker, right? What was the other one? I've forgotten. Yeah, and a police. So basically, when you're looking at contracts, make sure you consult your advocate so that they can guide you on how to address each and every contract. And that is for today's show. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, put them down on the comment section, and we will address them in the next show possible. Hit the like button, share and subscribe.
Keep safe, ask, and do social distance.
You go away.